The secret to staying healthy is to marry the right woman. Okay? That's the secret to staying healthy. I just spoke to her 5 minutes ago. As of 5 minutes ago, she still likes me. And she's baking muffins for me, which to other people are tasteless, but to me they're very good. And there's no sugar in it. I think she uses some applesauce. I don't know what she does exactly. And, okay. I'm going to read through the questions. You will get the handout afterwards. Okay, what I'm going to say, there'll be more than it's on the page, but Jews, I give this handout to them. If it's in prose, they're just going to read it and not listen to me. You know, I remember I went all over the world with TWA. They only accused me of stealing a ticket once. And a message from my travel agent from Israel was of no help. There are always orderly lineups, no problem. Everywhere, all over the world, literally. Yeah? Except the flight to Tel Aviv. Stand back, make a line. I told you, stand back. They just don't listen. Which is, by the way, even though it sounds negative, that's why we're still here today, because we don't listen. They didn't say, yo creo, I believe. When I told you can stay in Spain, just say, I believe. And no. All over the world, they were given choices. A Jew's favorite word is no. No. I stand on one side. Ivri means stands on one side of the world, and everyone else is on the other side. But I'd like to tweak that a little bit. It's not in the notes. Yeah? Avram stood on one side against the whole world. He stood alone, except no, he didn't. It was him and the Rebbeinu Shalom against the rest of the world. Oh, that's different. If you want to give a child a gift, the greatest gift is to know he's never alone. He's never alone. No, never alone. Never. So I could say no. So the flight to Tel Aviv is a problem. It's not always character traits. Sometimes feel good and sometimes they don't. It's like guilt. I actually know him, Dr. Halley. So, yeah, I think it was Dr. Halley. He was sporting a little bit of a beard, it was Sphira. And one of his acquaintances said to him, what's the beard? He said, it's a period of mourning. He said, like, what are you mourning? He says, well, the Romans destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. They destroyed our temple. Jews. Someone destroyed your temple and you're mourning. It's his fault. What do they don't get it. It's like, we're different and we're expected to be different. We're expected to be different. The world expects us to be different. So, since you're Jews, and I'll tell you, well, don't read this now, so I can't give it to you. Because you won't listen to me, which is fine. We do not try and squelch another person's sense of freedom, sense of self, sense of independence. We don't try and squeeze and crush it. However, they have to know that most things in life are sometimes right and sometimes wrong. Okay? Guilt is tremendous if it gets you to move. It's terrible if it puts you out of action. So it depends. You get a medicine. So if the medicine works, that was the right medicine. I have an endocrinologist, head of the department in Shari Tzedek. He gave me high doses of niacin. Very high doses. It's supposed to be very good. But for me, my liver went up to 5 times the size, my sugar went up to 300, and my primary care doctor sent me to the emergency room. So I said, wait a minute, I have a share to give. He said, well, you're going to the emergency room. So I met only in Israel. I met this guy in the emergency room. Your Dr. Sheila is your doctor? You're seeing him tomorrow? He's my Rebbe. Go home. Go see him tomorrow. That won't happen most of the time. He's my Rebbe. You can go home. The doctor's his Rebbe. So I come there. He looks at the screen. And he said, well, you should stop taking the niacin. Okay? Stop taking it. Sometimes the effects of something will tell you whether it's right or wrong. Okay? Guilt is a very good thing. I'm going to tell you a rule. Usually, something is good or bad, it will depend on, do you control it or does it control you? We are never supposed to give up our free will. Now, I'm going to an airport, to Las Vegas, through Denver. Jonathan Witten's genie has told him that it's going to be sunny there all day. Okay? So I hope he's right. I hope, the genie's right. So, when you go to an airport, you have to learn to listen. I once spread eagle like this, and the guy said, palms up! I have to listen. You listen. Okay? In Detroit airport, I once said to the guy, am I going to miss my flight? Because it was getting, So someone stepped out of somewhere and said, do you realize you're interfering with the work of a security agent? So I said, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And I didn't. You listen. Yeah? You listen. But you have surrendered your free will, but you decided to surrender it. That was a free will decision. That you could do. You're allowed to trust someone. It's okay to trust. Of course, you should be discriminant in who you trust. The color white, none of this is on the thing, but there's a good introduction. The color white is a sign of purity, of forgivingness, of atonement. They had a thread in the temple which would turn white as a sign that God has forgiven us. White is also a sign of impurity. There's a thing called saras. They call it leprosy, but it's not a correct translation. It's a disease, and where the color white is the color of impurity. Okay? What's the pshat? So I'll tell you something I believe to be true. The color white, someone who manufactures shirts and sweaters said to me, we start off with white, and then you put the color on it. Okay? White accepts colors. It accepts things. So, if you accept everything indiscriminately, then it's tummy, then it's no good, then it's impure. You can't, I follow Thomas Jefferson, who said that someone who does not read newspapers is uninformed, and he who does is misinformed. Okay? Even the date is wrong, because it's really printed earlier. If you have children who are anxious or grandchildren who are anxious, they should not read newspapers. It just makes them worried. That's not our subject today. The subject is a very important one. But you have to be discriminate on what I accept and what I don't accept. In Hebrew, the word pesi means a fool. Someone who's easily convinced of things. It also in Aramaic stands for wide. Pusia is wide. If you're wide open, you let everything in, no será bueno. It's not going to be good. So, we are swimming upstream. This was the question that I was asked to talk about. Swimming against the current. Jews are always swimming against the current. For 27 years, I taught girls in Yerushalayim. Now I'm the head of a girls' high school in Tel Aviv, but it's a different planet, yeah? And I would never tell them. I mean, I've had over the weekend a few people who are collectors' items, because I don't teach seminaries anymore, yeah? I never tell them how amazing Shavuos is going to be when they walk to the Kosel. After a whole night learning, they walk to the Western Wall. I never tell him it's going to be great. Never tell a child it's going to be great, because his imagination is such, you can't need it anymore. Surprise is the enemy and friend of emotion. Surprise them with a good thing. If we're going on a trip. In Australia, they told me that means when you fall down the stairs. So it's an expedition over there. Yeah? So don't say it's a great trip, because then you can never meet what he thinks it will be, or she. Just surprise them. You stop for ice cream, you visit an aquarium, wow. But surprise is the enemy of emotion also, because sometimes kids don't do well with surprises. Yeah? So, I didn't tell them how wonderful it will be when they walk to the kotel. The morning, after a whole night learning, you walk to the wall. I don't tell them. You know why? Because then who knows what they'll think. You know what the feeling is after that? Those of you who have done it. For the first time in your life, you are in the majority. It's basically all Torah observant Jews going. Anyone there who's not observant is there to protect you. A soldier, a policeman, they're there to take care of you. That's a taste of the Messiah. Most places we go, we're a minority, and we are swimming upstream. And by the way, the only way to get muscles is to swim upstream. You know that? I had a trainer for 13 years. His job was to keep me healthy. He was offered to be Bibi Netanyahu's trainer. And he said no, because Bibi doesn't show up and he won't get paid. But he trains his trainer. Bibi has high blood pressure and he lifts heavy weights, which is not a good idea. He says this man's made out of steel. As a few years ago, he told me that. Yeah. I guess they're trying to wear him down. I don't know. Yeah. But the only way you get anywhere is by swimming upstream. So I stopped exercising because he told me not to. Because if it hurts, don't exercise. But then a teacher, professor of OT in Torah College said, no, you are supposed to do it. Just not too much. And the pain's gone. The neck pain, the back pain's all gone. So, but I now batter at the back at the bottom of the hill, lifting easier weights because I didn't exercise. My son had a student in Lakewood who had a gym. He put me on a treadmill for 45 minutes or so, and my blood pressure didn't go up at all. And I said, I must be in good shape. He says, no, you didn't do anything. If your blood pressure doesn't go up when you're exercising, then you're not stretching. Yeah? Make sure it's not too much. Moderation. Spiritual growth is also like that. Moderation. Just want to give a child a feeling that they're worth something, get them to do something hard, but not too hard. That calibration is not an easy thing, but so you asked me, or whoever asked me, whoever picked the topic. I'm a very strange fellow. I actually talk about the topic that I'm asked to speak about. Yeah? How do you swim upstream? It's so healthy to swim upstream. And the question is phrased as follows. How to be an Olam Haba Yid, a Yid his destination is the next world. Now I want to explain to you what the word Yid means. You think it comes from Yiddish. I know a very wonderful Sephardic person says, I don't speak Yiddish. I'm not a Yid. What is this? Yeah? You know what Yid stands for? Yid is Yehuda, the tribe of Judah. Why? The Vilna Gaon says, it says in the Megillah that we read on Purim, Ish Yehudi, there was a Yehudi in Shushan. His name was Mordechai, Ishimini, which means he's from Binyamin. So the Vilna Gaon it starts off he's saying he's a Yehudi, and then it ends up saying he's from Benjamin. Like, what is this? She said, until the temple was destroyed, until the 10 tribes went into exile, the identity of a person was the tribe. I'll give you a little example from American history that comes to mind. This fellow, Robert E. Lee, is being, beheaded. Yeah? Because he fought. In 1861, what state you were from meant more than the federal government. It wasn't that much after the United States of America. So he chose Virginia. He didn't choose slavery. He didn't choose rebellion. He chose Virginia. Okay? I'm not here to defend him. Okay? But, okay? But after the temple was destroyed and the 10 tribes were taken into exile, the tribe of Judah was the dominant tribe. There was some from Benjamin, there was some from the priestly class, from Levi and Cohen. Ish Yehudi, Haya b'Shushan Abira. This Mordechai, he was a Yehudi. Everyone after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash was called a Yehudi from Judea. We could give a shir on what that word means. Okay? But originally, before the destruction of the temple, he was Ishmaeli. He was from Benjamin. Okay, so I just want to know what that word means. It means from the tribe of Judea. Okay, that's all. Who is focused on the Iker, the main thing, and not sidetracked by this world. We are going to the next world. And next world is a good place, by the way. It says nowhere in the written law that anything about the kingdom of heaven. Not a single word. No una palabra. There's kein ein Wort. Gar nicht, Ephes. Nothing. Yeah? Why? So the commentaries talk about that. But the favorite answer was given by the Rabbeinu Tam, which is not, it's in the Sefer Yosha. He says, if you believe that God loves you, then, and he wants to take you somewhere, of course you go. I remember my uncle lived in Silver Spring, Maryland. He came to visit. So the minig, the tradition of Americans, they take you out to eat. Okay, it's a culture. I'm not saying yay or nay, it's a culture. At that time, the Ramada Hotel had a good hechsher, had good kashrus. And I was going to go with my son. And my little daughter said, I want to go also. I want to go too. And my son didn't want her to tag along. She said, we're going to Ramallah. So this little girl stood thunderstruck. Ramallah? I'm going also. If Abba is going there, I'll go also. I'm going to go also. You hear? If you trust your Abba, you trust your Ima, then I'll go. Whatever the next world is, I trust Abba. Grandparents, the function of grandparents is to be safe harbor. My grandkids can say anything they want to me, it doesn't go anywhere. That's a function. The other function of a grandparent is for the parents to be able to role model respect. That's two functions of a grandparent. So we want to end up in the right section of the next world. And there is a next world. I mentioned once or twice during this Shabbaton that my daughter, she should live and be well, died on the delivery table. She had a thing called toxemia, if there's any doctors here. It's called ra'elet in Hebrew. Her body was full of all kinds of poisons. Anything could go, including her. And the monitor went flat, which meant she was dead. And they came in, they rushed in, they changed, they knew there was a problem in the hospital. The second monitor said, no, she's dead. She rebooted. Yeah, she came back and she told me that she remembers hovering over her body and looking down. There's something that exists afterwards. Now I told her, look, baby, please do me a favor. You want attention, don't try something else. Okay? But I know there's a next world. So, even if you wade through it, especially in America, with such an emphasis on pleasure and comfort in the here and now. This is an amazing question. This is the question of questions. Now, I tell boys and girls, well, when I taught American girls, you're depressed, you're an American citizen. How could you be depressed? I remember in St. Louis, I don't know which trip it was, which expedition it was, yeah? 2 Russians made a kiddush in the Aguda the week they became Russian citizens, American citizens. You remember such a thing? Yeah? They were happy. Now, today, if you ask them, do you get up in the morning and feel like making a kiddush because you are American citizens? I don't know, they might look at you. I was in Denver, I told the guy, you depressed? Didn't the Broncos win the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, 10 years ago, and now it's about 20 years. He looked at me like I was crazy. Because the Broncos won the Super Bowl. If something is important, it can make you happy. One of the reasons people are not happy is they don't have enough things that are important. Rav Noach Weinberg, we just said this, Rav Noach Weinberg said, the opposite of happiness is not sadness, it's apathy. Of course, when sadness means something matters to you, it matters. It's important. It makes me sad if I don't have it. Apathy that's the worst. And today, we're having a problem. Kids are not used to doing hard things. I was in a car with my son, and I said, play the Radetzky March. And it played the Radetzky March. It's Johann Strauss. Yeah? The only thing I could prescribe without going to jail is Mozart, Beethoven. On my stupid phone, I changed the thing. It was all rock tunes except piano music. And the piano music is rocky piano music. Okay, I'm stuck in the 18th century. What can I tell you? Mozart is amazing. It's amazing. Okay. How do you teach a person to not live pleasure and comfort physical now, in the here and now? So, the spiritual pleasure tastes much better. For instance, just to use a halacha, is that if you give money to a poor person, which you should, so you get 6 blessings. I think it's 6. If you give him a bracha, you get 11 blessings. The Gemara says that showing the whites of your teeth, giving a smile to someone, is better than giving him milk. As Rabbi Victor Miller Zechariah Levacha said, 2 people standing in front of shul, in front of the synagogue. One is handing out cold milk on a hot day. And the other one, his Rebbe, Rabbi Isaac Sher said this. And the other one is saying good morning. The one who's saying good morning is better. Why? Because one is I'm giving someone physicality. I'm giving them money, and you should give them money. I should give them some cold milk if it's a hot day. You should. But that's a physical gift. When I smile to them and say good morning, I'm addressing their soul, that they matter. To a Shiva, Rav Schweinberg Zechariah Levacha, to say good morning to the people, the custodians. They loved him. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah. I see there's some people here from Darchi Bina, 1 or 2. There was a story that at one of the Shabbatons a girl read about, there was a guy who took walks every day, and it was this German farmer who said, good morning, mister. And then he ended up in Auschwitz, and he was online, and that German officer was sending people in different directions. He said, good morning, Mr. Schmidt. He looked to the right. Even a Nazi sometimes can be human. Beforehand. He built a relationship with this man beforehand. Yeah? When you give someone a spiritual pleasure, recognition, you remember what they told you. You listen to them and hear what they have to say. Grandparents often have more time. Parents, they're busy. Well, there's such a thing as being too busy. A great man taught me, wisdom is the ability to differentiate between what's important and what's more important. Everything matters, but things matter more. Okay? So you give them the feeling of a spiritual pleasure of being noticed, of being recognized. You could take them to distribute food parcels. Every Shabbos, I know someone, every city, I assume, St. Louis, I'm confused, okay? St. Louis probably has distribution of package. So a kid helps make the packages, and he knows he's doing something for someone. And sometimes they can deliver it if they don't know who the person is, You know what a good feeling that is? That pleasure supplants, can overcome a physical pleasure. You know, chocolate cake has two pleasures. One is eating it, and you can eat chocolate cake. Even a diabetic can eat chocolate cake, a little bit. Someone's not, so they can eat more. Yeah? It's a pleasure to eat chocolate cake, and that's what it's there for. Yeah? But there's another pleasure of not eating it. No, it's not for me. It's not good for me. Yeah? You know what a pleasure that is, to be in control and do the right thing? It's such a pleasure. That's a spiritual pleasure. And you teach a child to be able to respond or not respond to a bully or someone who's teasing them. Someone comes up to you, and this happens, and says to you, dirty Jew. So you go home and take a shower? I mean, it's your problem, not my problem. Now, if there's physical problem, if there's violence, that's technical, and you have to take care of it. But you can't hurt me unless I let you. You can't hurt me unless I let you. If I feel good enough about myself, so then you can't get me. You know, we are standing under an ocean of air. How come we're not pancakes? Because we're inside, we have air pressure pushing back. That's, see, a child who feels good about himself or herself. So, my Abba doesn't do this. My grandma doesn't do this. It's amazing. I just made contact. There's someone in one of the cities I was in whose wife was going through a procedure. She had a malignancy, and the prospects were good, and the procedure was successful. But I had to get permission from Jamie to give encouragement. Jamie had she was very sick. I have a letter from her about how she took this sickness as a gift from God, how she loves Hashem and Hashem loves her, etc. She got her good character from her father. Her father's a pastor in Minnesota who has cut her off and does not talk to her for the last 30 years because she left the fold. Very principled man. She's there now, taking care of her 90-year-old mother. Okay? But where did she get her good character from? She got it from her father and mother. Okay? Now, I hope that's not heresy. She got it from her parents. Her father's extremely principled. He loves his daughter. He will not talk to her for 30 years because she went off the derech. It means those things matter to him. I'm not going to say is he right, is he wrong, it's that subject. But that's where she got her character from. I knew the daughter of the Chief Justice of Kansas City. Kennedy appointed him. And he needed to speak to me. I met him. He said, you know, I have a good friend, a very famous man, a very famous magazine. He's all upset that his son-in-law is studying Torah in Jerusalem. He said, I'm thrilled. He's taking time to get himself straight, and I'm thrilled that he's studying Torah. So I said to this guy's wife, whose father's the Chief Justice of Kansas City, said, where do you get your good character from? Not from the Yerushalayim. You got it from your parents. Okay? So, we have to know parents and grandparents can give so much to children that maybe schools can't. And sometimes we expect schools to do what we're supposed to do. Character comes from home. The pleasure of doing something spiritual is a deep pleasure, and it doesn't get stale. Because you could learn the same thing again and again and again, the same good deeds again and again and again. It still tastes good. Now, someone who knows a lot of Torah wants to know more. Great men have said, I could stay on one page my whole life, but I need to know more also. But if you get Boston baked beans every single night, so you're going to get tired of it, because it's not essential to your soul. The body likes it, but it stops liking it. Yeah, it stops liking it when you have it too much, because it's not real. It's not the pleasure to the main part of the person. The main part of the person is their soul. And so, there are many examples of this. It's getting late, and I do have to leave. I have a sickness called airportitis. And I was only arrested a few times. Once for handling explosives in Newark Airport, and I was not. It's a long story, but they let me go. Why, I don't know. Because the second time they brought me in to test my hand, this anti-Semitic machine said handling explosives. Why they let me go, I don't know. So I need to go. Lashon Hara. When you speak badly of someone, I know someone, his name is Shlomo Goldberg. He's the head of a school in Los Angeles. I consider one of the finest schools in the world. Covey wanted him to be a presenter. He didn't do it, but they said, we want an Orthodox Jew to be a presenter. So he said, we're working on something new. What is it? Be loyal to the guy who's not there. Don't talk against someone who's not there, and don't accept things. Yeah, they said there's a rich subject. We haven't really gotten it under control. Maybe it could be by now. They did. They have something. But be loyal to the guy who's not there. That's old stuff for us. Or 20 years ago, there was a new concept in education, peered learning, that you learn with someone. Wow, what news to us. Okay? When you're loyal to someone who's not there, they will respect you for it. The people who are talking. You have to put them down, but I don't want to hear. That way they know that you're not going to talk or be against them. There's a man, a wealthy man, came to a Yitzchak Khan inspector and the Rav of Kovna, and he was asking him Rav Inspector asked him for a donation for someone. So just tell me who it is. He said, I can't do that. Just tell me who it is. I'll double the amount of money I'll give you. Like he reached high sums. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you. I cannot share with you. So he broke down and said, I've lost my money. And everything's a facade. I need help. I wanted to test if you can keep a secret. I'm a mashgiach in the yeshiva. I cannot speak to anyone about anything. Now my wife runs an organization to help people who have problems in Israel, who need to be directed to the right resources. People are stunned that they know me and they know her, and never the twain shall meet about anyone else. I mean, your husband didn't talk to you about you. You didn't tell him. That's right. Nothing. I go in Tel Aviv, so I speak to individual classes, but the rest of the time I meet them individually. They know I will not, unless they're suicidal, I will not leak it. Now, even to the guidance counselor, the yoetzet, whatever you call them, nobody. Okay? When you are loyal to the person who's not there, so you know what a pleasure that is, and the respect you get? It's much more than the pleasure of saying the Lashon Hara. Why do people speak badly? Why do they gossip? They want attention. People dress not so modestly. They want attention. Like, why don't you look at me for? So, you're responsible for the gashmis of your home, the shoes, the clothes, the table space, the decor. So you have to know that if what your intention are is if for this what matters. There's a word ken. Ken means yes. Nachon means proper. Kavana means intention. Kivun means direction. It all is the basis of your act, how it will be judged. What's your kavana? What's your reason for doing it? Okay? What's your reason? The word ken, being a nest, is with a kuf, but it also means something stable. The stability of who you are is what are your intentions. There was a Jew named Reb Chaim Ozer Grodzinski. Yeah? He was a genius. He was constantly joking. Constantly joking. They found in his personal diary that he had accepted upon himself never to say an extra word. There's a time for joking. There's a time for speaking. There's a time for verbosity. Yeah? Everything has to be efficient. That word in Hebrew is called sicha. It's volume. Yeah? They want to talk. They could talk about anything they want. My paradigm for love is if it's important to you, it's important to me. How do you keep your inspiration? Yep, that's right. I'm in Shana Rishona, the first of the next 50. And I still have time. We have time alone. Yeah? So I told this to someone last night. I don't remember who, it doesn't matter. Yeah? I said, who said we have to talk? When you're with someone and there's a connection, who said you have to talk? You don't have to, boys going out, oh, what should we talk about? But when you get close to someone, you don't have to talk about anything. You can share a sunset without talking. But you always need growth. There's no way. Life is like on a down escalator. If you don't move up, you go down. The Vilna Gaon says that. He didn't say down escalator. But it's either you go up or you go down. You never stay stationary. Okay? I twice fell on escalators for daring Sir Isaac Newton. Once in Miami and one in Los Angeles. Because I had these heavy bags. So I fell. So in Miami, they said to me, they stopped the escalator. Do you want medical help? No. And as I'm going out, so the cop stops me. He must have heard about it. Says, did you have a confrontation with anyone? So I said, yes. He looks at me expectantly. Yes, with Isaac Newton. He cracked up and said, go. Yeah? So that's life. Life is continued growth. I thank you for coming. I have no stress in Chutz La'aretz when I'm traveling because there's always someone telling me what to do. My wife's not here. I need someone to tell me what to do. So there's an invisible string between me and Brian. And it's such a supposed to be here. And these things now can be passed out. No one passing out. Take care. Hashem should give you a lot of nachas in your life.
It didn't die, did it?